Good morning and welcome to the morning filibuster. We are in the middle of a Ernie filibuster as well as a Prairie Dog takeover here in the unicameral. Brandon's actually got a little bit to hit on with LB 299 and continuing our breakdown into quote unquote the work.
That's right. If you don't want to watch the filibuster going on upstairs this morning, we have some more insight to provide you on LB 299. That, of course, we started yesterday a series that's talking about Senator Epke's priority bill that deals with occupational licensing. This morning in the Lincoln Journal-Star, Lee McGrath from the Institute of Justice has an op-ed piece, and Lee was actually here last year to testify on LB 299 in the government committee hearing. I think Lee summed up the bill in a very good one simple sentence. He explains it like this: LB 299 would require the government to ask, is there any good reason Nebraskans should have to give the government's permission to do this job? Essentially, what we're doing is we're looking for the least restrictive means necessary. Lee brings up this term bottleneckers, and it actually comes from this book called Bottleneckers by William Miller and Dick Carpenter. It's kind of the authority on occupational licensing, and bottleneckers can be described as this: special interests that use government power to reap monopoly profits and other benefits by limiting healthy economic competition. Instead of picking the winners and losers, policymakers would have access to a full hierarchy of regulatory options that range from market competition and consumer-created ratings. Think of like something like Yelp out there to take those consumer ratings into consideration. Reviews by occupational licensing, such as the boards and agencies, that is the most onerous option. And what we have in mind of all this is to protect job growth, the marketplace, and the public. Let's go back to that term bottleneckers real quick. I told you the book where it comes from. It's defined as this: bottlenecker is a person who advocates for the creation or perpetuation of government regulation, particularly an occupational license, to restrict entry into his or her occupation, thereby accruing an economic advantage without providing benefit to customers. These laws and the term in this context, they kind of reflect back, they kind of got started in the Prohibition era. Specifically to Nebraska, Lee provides us with this. According to the Brookings Institution, nearly 1 in every 3 Nebraska workers today need some form of special permission from the government in the form of a license or certification to legally do their jobs. By comparison, only 5% of workers nationally were licensed in the 1950s. A massive increase that imposes high costs, especially on small businesses and lower income entrepreneurs. The Heritage Foundation estimates these licensing costs amount to nearly $1,000 per year for the average Nebraska household. That's you, that's me.
That's a lot of different people. That's a lot of workers that get affected by that.
Absorbing quite the cost there.
Now, Brandon, if you actually don't mind elaborating on something, who really comprises most of these state boards, most of these certifying agencies that want these, consumer protections? Who is it that actually then controls it?
Right, and it's important there to not negate their expertise. And many of them are honest brokers, but we're talking about industry insiders that often fill these boards. And so in some cases you can see an obvious conflict of interest, and that's where the government monopolies come into play here. So that's something to consider, and I think moving it to a more practical and objective means of review is something that's really warranted.
All right, well, thank you for your coverage. We really still looking forward to breaking down this bill and looking forward to all the further updates that we're going to be passing on.
That's right. Thanks, everyone. We'll have more on LB 299 in the coming days.
All right. Take care, everyone.